Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Betrayal at Krondor. In our last episode, James, Owen, and Gorath traveled north to the town of Romney to meet with a squad of Kingsmen out of Boztira who had been investigating the sudden appearance of the infamous assassins, the Nighthawks. However, when our heroes arrived at the town, they found all of the investigators murdered. The only clues as to who might be behind this murder were two items left at the crime scene, a brass spyglass and a small metal spider. Let's take a look at those items right now. James is holding both of them. With the exception of its carnelian-tinged fangs, the miniature spider glinted a deadly silver hue. On its underbelly, a long, shallow groove bisected its length and passed between its fangs, a groove through which a sword blade or an arrow point could be easily passed. In other words, this can poison a weapon. So for example, James has this rapier. If we pass the spider over it, flipping the ornate miniature over, James slid his sword blade through the groove which had been incised into the spider's belly. While there was no fluid visible in the small channel, his blade now dripped a green venom. And if we can see the little drip here next to his sword. So the sword is now blessed and poisoned. An interesting item, a sinister item to be sure. What could that have been doing at the crime scene, at the scene of the murder? Was it left as a message? I don't know. Meanwhile, this brass spyglass. A relatively simple device, the spyglass was a cylinder of brass fitted with a large glass lens on one end and another smaller lens on the opposite end. While spyglasses were used to spot distant objects, James suspected this one had been rendered useless by the cracks in the larger lens. Now, we can just assume James probably held it up to his eyes. And what did he discover when he did that? Undaunted by the spyglass's cracked lenses, James raised the nautical tool to his eye and looked through it. While visually he could see nothing, it was almost as if he saw something beyond the world before him. By some facility, he was able to see objects that were hidden from his view and were given a view of the map around us. And look, that inn that's over there is highlighted. In other words, this object will highlight items on our map. Buildings for sure, but other things like chests that we might not see from the road. A very interesting item to be sure, but what in the world was that doing at the crime scene? The mystery deepens. Now, we did talk to the young man who worked in the bar, and he mentioned that spyglass likely had an origin down in the town of Silden. Let's take a look at our map. Here we are at Romney. If we look to the north, there's some towns, Prankstone, Cavalkeep, Kenting Rush. And then we reach the border forts that form the northern border of the kingdom. Beyond that, through these mountains, is the land of the Moradel, enemies to humanity. Probably don't want to go up there anytime soon. But to our south, where we were in our last chapter, in chapter 2 of the game, there's Sloop and then Silden. And it's very possible that spyglass came from there. So that is one lead. As for the spider, the young man didn't have any knowledge of that, so we're not sure yet where that came from. The young man also mentioned, however, that a shipment of wine had come in. A special delivery had just been delivered that night, the night that all those men were murdered. And I wonder, you gotta wonder, all these men murdered without any sign of a struggle. Were they drunk? Was there something in their wine? Well, we want to run down every lead, and this young man said that wine came from the upside-down keg in Sloop. That was the tavern that we saw there. So those are two towns we can go to. Now, a final lead, the Duke of Romney, who, yes, he's troubled by these murders, but he's far more concerned right now by the possibility of a civil war that's about to erupt between the various guilds of the city. And he asked the party to travel down to the home of Arlie Steelsoul, who might be able to calm the rising tensions between the various guilds and stop the conflict before it escalates into open warfare. So it looks like we have several different possible ways to go, but all of them are to the south. So let's go ahead and start heading down that way. As always, keeping our eye out for any possible ambushes. Looking out for enemies as we go. I didn't see any enemies, but it looks like we've been ambushed. James swallowed hard. With his heart pounding in his chest, he watched the enemy creep closer. Fighting the urge to turn around and run like hell, he forced himself to remain calm, forced himself to show no fear, despite the feelings of near panic that threatened to overwhelm him. Oh no, 2 Nighthawks. That's dangerous. Well, I do have a poison blade, and luckily this Nighthawk didn't attack me this turn. So let's attack him. A good hit. Owen, use your normal spell. Our favorite, as you may remember, Skin of the Dragon, and we will protect James. Alright, that one's firing at Owen. Let's try to go to him. Let's use our own bows on him. Our own crossbow. And we missed as well. Oh, this Nighthawk's trying to attack Owen. James, come to the rescue. Another solid hit. Owen's going to go over here to try to get out of the way. Oh, he got hit by a crossbow bolt. But Gorath returned the favor. That Nighthawk keeps getting hit pretty hard. That's good. Owen's not in bad shape yet. Let's walk over here. And that Nighthawk's descending, so let's go ahead and have Gorath attack him. James is up again. And it looks like Owen is free to cast, so we're going to do the same thing. Cast Skin of the Dragon on Gorath. Both of our melee fighters are protected, and whew, that was close. He almost hit Gorath. Or sorry, he almost hit Owen. And the first Nighthawk is down. Owen's going to rest to recover some stamina from the spells he cast. Let's go ahead and attack this Nighthawk. Ooh, a single hit, and he's done. Fantastic. Gorath's defense ability increased. Very good. Alright, let's take a look at these bodies. Looks like they're shielded by the trees here. Okay, some money. A 63% crossbow. Not as good as anything we have. I don't think we're carrying a crossbow string anymore. Let's go ahead and take this light bowstring to eventually replace this one once it wears down a little bit more. And as always, we're going to do the task of repairing armor and weapons to increase our weapons skills. Let's start off with our own, of course. Well, Gorath was never hit. He needs no repairs. That's wonderful. Very good. James also should try to repair his. Nope. Looks like he doesn't need it either. Well, his blade did. And let's go ahead and repair Owen's armor just in case it needs it. Great. Okay. And we'll go ahead and leave that crossbow there. Gorath's abilities have increased even more. As for the other body, some more armor. Let's repair that as well. Great. We'll hand one off to Owen to make some room, and we'll take this mortal lamprey. And we'll take some more arrows. We'll leave this broken crossbow behind. Let's take a look at our abilities here. Gorath now has an increased defense and an increased armor craft. Nobody else has increased just now. Alright, let's get back on the road. We'll continue heading westward. So let's head down to that town of Sloop and see if we can find what happened with that wine delivery from the upside-down keg. Stick to the road and keep an eye out. Oh, before we do that, let's head back this way for just a moment. This building over here is an inn. We are now in a new chapter of the game. We are now in Chapter 3, and every time a chapter resets, all of the inn's budgets for entertainment resets. Let's try barding again. Owen played. Losing himself in the flow of the music, he occasionally mangled a note or two, but on the whole did justice to this Kingdom Mine, the only tune he knew by heart. That was nice, the tavern keeper said with a smile, handing Owen 22 sovereigns. You'll have to play for us again sometime. Let's take a look at the price of food right now. Yeah, look at this. Because of this ongoing guild conflict, everything in the region is massively overpriced. 24 gold for 7 rations? I don't think so. We'll head a little further south. Maybe we'll go down to Silden and see if they have anything for sale. I think the rations there are bad, but we're not going to buy here unless we absolutely have to. All right, the party's barding ability increased. Gorath's up to 13. And that was it. Let's continue on our way. All right, I don't see any enemies yet. Small house there. Let's take a look at that. That was an abandoned house that we saw in the last episode. We should be coming up on Sloop very soon, but it looks like night's falling, so let's go ahead and rest for the night. If I'm not mistaken, we have reached the town of Sloop. Perfect. Let's head on in. Alright, that's a tavern that doesn't open until noon. I don't remember if that's the tavern in question or not, but we'll wait until noon to do that. Let's look at this house first. I wanted to say that it was over here, that it was this building. Just another friendly group of people. James never had a chance to knock. Without warning, a Nighthawk charged at them from the other side of the small house, prepared to kill or be killed. "Look out!" screamed James, readying himself for combat. "Ambush!" What in the world are these Nighthawks doing at this house? 5 of them, no less. Well, we better get into combat. We better get to action quickly. I want to protect Owen, so let's fight this guy first. A good hit. But Owen is being attacked, so Owen needs to get out of here. Let's move him up as far as we can. We'll move in this direction. Ooh, a hit from their crossbow. Gorath will come down. Looks like none of them are coming after Owen directly up here. So we're going to send Gorath down to attack this one who's closest to Owen. And same thing with James. I was hoping I could block him in, but no, he came after Owen after all. This is going to be a difficult battle if Owen's not able to cast a spell. Alright, a solid hit. Let's team up and hit the same guy to get these guys done, dead faster. Looks like they hit their own person. Another one down. With how quickly these men are dying, I have to wonder if these are more of those imitation Nighthawks. Or at least ones that haven't taken that oath. That dark oath that brings them back to life after they die. Owen is not in particularly good shape. Let's continue moving one more turn. They hit their own man and killed him! How embarrassing. Alright, let's move Owen out of here. At this point, it is not really worth casting any kind of shield on them with only one enemy left. I'm going to have Owen rest and try to regain some health. And good, yeah, he's not trying to attack Owen. So let's go ahead and use our own crossbow. Oh gosh, he hit James. Again, how embarrassing. Gorath, this is your chance to redeem yourself. Good hit. And we finished off the last Nighthawk. Things got a little hairy there for a moment. So we need to find out what were these Nighthawks doing at this house. But first, let's search them and see what we can find. Let's move one of these swords over to Owen so that Gorath can take a sword. That allows the body to be... allows us to put things back on that body. We're not particularly concerned with actually taking everything. I'd rather have armor than kingdom swords. Kingdom swords are very inexpensive. We can hand one item off here to make room for another set of armor. There we go. Some money, that's good. Now we've taken something off the body. That allows us to put things back. We'll definitely drop off Kingdom armor in favor of Elven armor. Elven armor fetches a much better price than Kingdom armor does. We should also probably repair our own sword here as well. And while we're at it, let's drop this other armor off for just a moment, because Owen's armor should get repaired here. He got quite a few hits in that battle. Okay, that works. All right, the next body. More herbal packs, that's great. Who's holding our herbal packs? Looks like James is holding some of them. I'll hand those off. There's also these silverthorn berries. Hand those off. A broadsword's going to be better than a kingdom sword if we have one. We have far too many crossbow bolts. This is more than we're going to need. So I'll go ahead and hand off these 3 and one more set. Oops, sorry. In order to take this sword into our possession, at least to fix it. And if I can make enough room for that set of armor, drop off one set of armor in favor of this other set of armor. That one is better than the one we had. Perfect. Gorath's weapon craft is increased. All right, 2 more bodies. We get a key. Just some more armor and a sword. A sword we're not going to keep, but I'll take it for just a moment to fix it. And we'll put it up, and then we'll put it back. And as for that armor, let's take this worse armor and try to fix that as well. 94. No, this one's better. We'll take the 96. And we'll remember to take back our broadsword. Gorath's abilities have increased again. And as for the last one, 18 gold, as well as some rations. Let's take a look at those. Good rations, so we'll spread those among the party. 6 to Owen, and the rest to Gorath. A torch for James. A 76% crossbow, that's better than Gorath, so we'll take that. We'll switch out for this mortal lamprey here. I believe lampreys fetch a better price than, looks like Gorath needs a new whetstone, than broadswords, although I'm not sure. And we'll go ahead and fix this armor just so we have the chance to continue increasing our skills. All right, that's it for all of that. So I'm curious, what is going on in this house? James knocked cautiously on the door. A few tense moments later, the wood began to creak and the door swung open. From the darkened room, a figure emerged and James gripped his sword tighter, prepared for any eventuality. Though Mitchell Waylander wasn't one of his favorite people, he was a bit relieved to see his familiar face, and Mitchell seemed a bit relieved to see them. As you may remember, Mitchell Waylander is one of the guild leaders of Romney, one of the people hip deep in this ongoing conflict. I believe he's the leader of the Glaziers Guild. I don't know who sent you, but I'm very thankful for your help. Let's just say that anyone on the business end of a Nighthawks sword is of interest to me these days. It's not like them to send multiple assassins unless the target is considered a danger to the guild. But I'm a merchant. I don't know anything about the Guild of Assassins. You wouldn't necessarily have to know anything about them. You might have witnessed something they preferred unseen. Perhaps they think you wronged them in some way. Where were you the night the Kingsmen from Baz Tira Regiment were assassinated? What? I hadn't heard. Gods, they were good men. If it hadn't been for them, we never would have broken the River Pullers' siege of Romney. How did they die? Nighthawks set upon them in the Black Sheep Tavern, killed every last man. The only thing I found strange was the fact that there were few signs of resistance. I was told by the boy who tends the bar that a few casks of Keshian ale were delivered the night before, but the Boztira men are very disciplined men. I doubt they would get drunk while trailing Nighthawks. I suspect that the ale was tainted somehow to make certain the assassins had as little difficulty as possible. We also found a silver spider and a brass spyglass on the bodies. A brass spyglass? I agree, that's very strange indeed. I wonder what they were doing with it. The silver spider, though, that's definitely a sign. That's an assassin's tool. Really? How is it used? I'm clueless. I've just heard that Nighthawks carry them sometimes. Maybe they dropped it on the bodies when they were fighting. It's a lead at the least. Thank you, Mitchell. Where will you be if we need you again? I have a few debts to pay off for the Glaciers Guild and Sloop, so if you should need me, I will be here. Goodbye. Interesting. The Nighthawks were after Mitchell Waylander. I wonder why. Alright, let's double check the time of day. We need to wait. Let's go ahead and heal up. We'll sleep another night and get ourselves fully healed here. And then we'll rest until noon. And let's head for that tavern. I believe it was on the other side of the temple. Sorry, it was this last building. James could smell alcohol. Pushing the door of the shop open, he was met by a sharp-faced fellow who was carrying a wooden keg. Quickly dumping it with a pile of other casks, he wiped his hands off with a towel, then extended his hand. Welcome to the Upturned Keg. Best brewery this side of the Romney. Would you care to sample some of our stock? We make a dandy apple wine. I'm sure you do, but no thank you, James said. We have other business with you. Have you recently sent a special delivery to the Black Sheep Tavern in Romney? The man nodded. Yes, a man here in town named Mitchell Waylander came in and made the purchase order himself, paid with rubies. Recognizing the name of the leader of the Glaciers Guild of Romney, James arched an eyebrow. Was there anything unusual about the order? I'll say, the man replied. Moving to a small bin, he pulled out a handful of a substance that looked like tobacco, letting it sift between his fingers back into the bin. He asked that I add this to the kegs, called black tarweed. Poison? James asked. No, it's a cheat used by the less scrupulous tavern keepers. A handful of this and dissolved in your ale, and whoever drinks it will think they're dying of thirst. Gets worse the more you drink. Gorath spat. It is often done in the north, he said. A man will drink until he is no longer capable, either for lack of gold or wit. And an excellent way to make sure that someone is incapable of fighting you back, James said with disgust. The Nighthawks aren't what they used to be. Alarmed, the brewmaster seemed to pale. Nighthawks? What have they to do with this? Omitting most of the smaller details, James told what they had already learned of the murder. Horrified, the man shook his head. I assure you this has never once happened in association with the keg. If you'd like, I will get you something to drink. I guarantee that it has not been laced with black tarweed. And we don't really need to buy anything right now, so let's just quit out. Okay, looks like we're returning to Mitchell Waylander's house. What is going on here? So the king's men were served ale. They're normally very disciplined drinkers, but the black tarweed made them so thirsty they drank more than they realized they were drinking. They got so drunk they couldn't fight back. The Nighthawks came in and killed them all. And the order was placed by Mitchell Waylander. Well, it's the same dialogue as last time. Oh, here's something new. He was saying how it seemed odd that they would get drunk when they were trailing the Nighthawks. It sounded odd to me as well, so I decided the ale had to be tainted in some way. I thought if I found the man who sent the ale, I might be on the trail of the Nighthawks. Then I visited the tavern here in town, and I discovered something very disturbing. The arrangements for the ale delivery were made here, and the keeper was instructed to add a significant amount of tarweed to the mixture. A mixture that, while not poisonous, induces the drinker to become excessively thirsty, ensuring that he will continue to drink until quite drunk. But that was not the shocking information. You see, it seems the local chief reeve of a prestigious guild arranged for the delivery of the ale, Mitchell Waylander. I never made that order. I would have been in Romney when the arrangement was made. I couldn't have made that order. I realize that as well. The Nighthawks have gone to extreme trouble to implicate you, and that tells me they want revenge for something. The men that were sent here to kill you would undoubtedly have planted the final evidence on your corpse. So, what could you have done to them? Truly, I don't know. Do you know anything about a silver spider or a brass spyglass? A brass spyglass? Oh dear gods, but that man couldn't have been a Nighthawk. He was so regal looking. What did you do to this man? Is the spyglass involved? There's a place north of Romney known as Prankstone. When people approach it, they often discover that items on their person disappear. A business partner and I discovered where the disappeared items go to, and we sell the items we find. Anyway, one night I was drinking in a town of the same name, and I saw this man who had a very marvelous brass spyglass. My guild was having difficulties at the time, and I was low on cash, so I conspired to achieve the spyglass for my own. I had noticed the attention he was paying to a rather fetching barmaid, and I arranged that a note was sent to his table telling him to meet her near the Prankstone. The spyglass became ours. If the man you snatched the spyglass from learned what happened, I could see how he would want revenge. Where did you sell it? I don't sell the items, my partner does, and we split the profits. I don't know anything about him other than the fact that he's a native of Silden. We decided early on that we would share only our booty so that if one of us was caught, the other would be safe. And it seems we have business in Silden. Lay low. It may be the only thing that keeps you alive, Mitchell. The Nighthawks are not men that should be angered. Okay, we have a path forward now. We definitely do need to head down to Silden. Let's head back to the main road, and we will head southwards to the town. Let's double check our hit points really quickly. Oh, there's an enemy nearby. I wonder, can we see them from where we are? Right there in the trees. So that's how this works. The Nighthawks hide in the trees. That's why you don't see them on the road. They don't show up on the map either, unfortunately. Let's back off and go ahead and fully heal before we get into this Nighthawk fight. There we go. So it's another fight with the Nighthawks. This time, let's try clicking on this Nighthawk and see if we can get the jump on them. The enemy was not surprised. In fact, they seemed eager to accept the challenge and moved forward to meet the failed charge. "Weapons are ready!" James shouted. "Looks like we're going to fight this one on their terms." Well, at least we're not surprised. But they did get a chance to go first. Oh, poor Owen. Alright, James, come to his defense. I think we're going to do the same thing again, where we're going to team up on these enemies to get them dead that much more quickly. Wow, Owen is really getting hit with these crossbows. Alright, but fortunately now it is our chance to... Well, I'm just going to have him rest at this point. It's a little too far away for Gorath to reach this guy. I'm going to move him a little bit closer to get this guy's attention. There we go. And James is going to also run in and join the fight. Ooh, a good solid hit. And that one's already fleeing. Another solid hit from Gorath. And James finished off that second Nighthawk. And the other one's fleeing as well. And I think he's almost gone. I would try to use a crossbow bolt, but I'm afraid I'm going to hit James if I do that. It's only a 50% chance of hitting. Let's try one time. No, he's too far away to even hit with the crossbow. I think also the tree's in the way. And the Nighthawk flees. Alright, well, 2 of them are dead at least. And our abilities have increased. Let's take a look here. Some Killian's root oil that can enhance our swords and armor. Let's go ahead and take this torch so that we can put things on the body. We are not going to take any of this stuff. We're just going to repair it and then drop it back off. My mistake. Let's... Yep, there's more to lamprey. We want to take that for sure. That's what we had before. And we'll take this armor just to repair it. And then we'll get rid of it and put back our own armor. Let's repair our own armor as always, our own sword. James, do the same. Wow, his sword goes down really quickly. Owen keeps taking these hits. Alright, and as for the second body... I guess because of the angle, we can't get to that second body from here. So let's go like this. There we go. 12 gold. That's wonderful. Another bowstring. Gorath could... Didn't use any crossbows that turn, so we're not going to take more. Let's go ahead and pick up this lamprey just to fix it. 97, better than the one we had. We'll keep that one. And we'll repair this armor. And drop that off again. I'm trying to see if there's one more item that I could drop off in order to take that last sword, but I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, back to the road. And how is Owen looking right now? He's not too bad off, honestly. Resting helped him out quite a bit during that battle. So let's continue moving. Make sure we're going in the right direction here. We need to make our way all the way down to Silden. There's a house over that way. Let's take a moment to look at our spyglass again. That's actually just the town. That's still the town of Sloop. We haven't even made it past the town yet. Fully. Alright, if I remember correctly, this is the house where the Rusalki were at. Yeah, Madame Hoffer is too weary to attend you, unfortunately. A very sad story, the couple who lived in that house. There's a whole bunch of stuff over there. If I remember correctly, we already might have opened all of that. But it's nothing wrong with taking a look. I don't remember if we opened up these chests already or not, so let's go ahead and try to... let's go ahead and cast the spell, Scent of Sareg. In order to make sure it's safe to open these chests. This one is safe. 2 swords, I believe we did already open those and we left them behind last time. Yeah, because I remember this was Kingdom Fools are born without a lot of this, there is no doubt. We solved this puzzle last time. It's hair. We've already been this way. Yeah, there's just some armor that we left behind last time because it wasn't good enough compared to what we had. So, but as you can see, by looking through that spyglass, all of those chests appeared. If I hadn't known they were there, that's a good way to find things that we might miss otherwise. All right, let's keep our eyes out for any fights, any enemies that might be waiting for us. They're a lot sneakier this time. Keep out. A man shouted to them. "Have you brought the Chief Reeves dinner?" he asked, evidently viewing their arrival as part of a regular schedule. When James wasn't quick to respond, the man seemed to get a bit irritated. Are you or aren't you the deliveryman from the goods store? Yes, James quickly lied, seeing it as an obvious way to get past the guard. We'll just go on in and deliver his dinner to him. The man frowned. Obviously, they didn't explain to you the way things work around here. No one comes past Podrick, he said, thumping his chest. You go over next to the field and put the goods in the box, then go about your way. Now, do you or don't you have his food? No, we don't. Playing the role of stupid delivery boy, James scratched his head. We thought we had to come and find out what he wanted first, he said. We'll come back later. Okay, I believe... this is... The last time we were talking about the fact that we needed to figure out where Arlie Stillsoul lives. I believe this is where he lives. The Chief Reeve. So let's rest until daytime. Obviously, going up this road is not going to let us get there. He has a guard. There's also a box that we could put food in for him. Maybe we could put something in like... I don't know. We could poison him. I don't want to kill the guy, though. What if we go around? What if we maybe sneak in from the back? Will that let us do that? We got to get to this guy's house. Preoccupation had dulled his senses. Aware, as if someone had thrown water over him during a pleasant dream, James grabbed Gorath's shoulder. Don't move. There's something very not right about the ground before us. Okay, this homeowner obviously does not want visitors. Look at this trap. Alright, let's make sure the grid is visible so we can see exactly what's happening. So, between these two pillars, we don't want to walk between those. And between these two pillars, the same is true. Alright, so let's go ahead and I'm going to rest for just a moment and have Gorath move up here. Well, he can't go quite that far. I probably shouldn't have Gorath be the one doing this. Trying to decide how best to move this. What I want to do is have this cannon fire at that without somebody in the way. And I want to have this cannon... Aha, I know what to do. I believe. Alright, I'm going to have James move here, and everybody else is just going to take a break. He's going to go ahead and push this in the way to block that cannon. That will allow Owen to move this crystal. He's going to move right here. Gorath's going to wait, and so is James. He's going to push this crystal one step forward. Now he's going to move over here. And he's going to keep pushing it to the left. And once it gets in front of this other cannon, that cannon should fire and destroy. Oh, okay, that didn't work. I believe we already messed up the puzzle. Let's leave that area. Let's come back to it. All right, where's the house again? I made a mistake, but we're going to do that. We're going to retry that. All right, so we still need to move around the house like this. So we need to go this way. Let's try this again. We need to destroy this one first, then we can destroy that one. So. I know what to do now. So Owen's going to push this crystal in the way, which will trigger this to fire that. Oops, he was not lined up right. My mistake. First, Gorath needs to push it up one space. Alright. It's hard to tell where everything is lined up sometimes. Alright. That destroyed this. Now, we don't... The next step is to push it all the way over here, but doing that will expose us to fire from this. So before we do that, James is going to push this crystal in the way to block that cannon. And now Owen can push this crystal. Destroying the other one. And now our way through is clear. Let's get somebody with a lot of movement radius here. We made it. They sighed in collective relief. We're through it, I think, James said. But be on your guard. There may be other traps. Alright, looks like we can just approach the house now. The Reeve met them at the door. Nearly bald, except for a few short tufts of hair, which cropped behind his ears like untended weeds, the Chief Reeve was a surprisingly small man for the position of power he held among the guilds of Romney. Smiling fiercely at them, he slapped James's shoulder with a heat-blistered hand. Arla Steelsoul here, he said. If nothing else, you've got chutzpah. Not many men see that trap out there and have the gumption to try to come through it. I wanted to at least talk to whomever had the guts and the smarts to pull it off. He invited them into his home, offered them some food and water, and spoke of the guild war near Romney. It started when the river pullers jacked their prices so high no one could afford to ship things downriver, he explained. That forced Mitchell Waylander to turn to the guild of the Romney. Well, That forced Mitchell Waylander to turn to the guild of the Romney. Well, let me tell you, Chief Reeve of the River Pullers didn't like that at all. Felt the new guild was trying to undercut his business. But can you blame him? Mitchell, I mean? James shook his head. The Duke of Romney doesn't seem too happy about matters either, he said. He wants you to come to the negotiations table so they can bring a halt to the violence in Romney. Arlie nodded. Bloody politics started this mess, and it looks like that's what it'll take to bring it to an end. They'll take a chunk out of the Ironmongers Guild, be sure of that. We've always lost at the negotiations table. Then we can tell the Duke you will negotiate? James asked. Walking to a row of shelves, he pulled down a book. Nothing else to do that I know of. Alerting James first, he tossed the tome. Thought you might like this after all your questions about the ironwork. What is it? James asked, looking at the plain leather cover. A beginner's text on the art of repairing arms and armor. I was going to throw it out to make room for a few new books that Podrick brought to me. You're welcome to it. Thanking the Reeve for his generous offer, James motioned to Gorath that it was time that they were on their way once again. We will tell the Duke, he said before closing the door. He'll be excited, I think. Well, that's good news. So now we have Arlie is going to go back to the town. And we should definitely let the Duke know about that. And we will do that. We'll be heading back up towards Romney, but we still have to go to Sildon. So let's check our hit points. We're in good shape hit points-wise. Let's keep moving to the south. And keep glancing left and right. See if there's any enemies in sight here. It would be nice if that Spyglass would let us see enemies. Might be a little too overpowered then. I see a whole group of them over there. Look at those Nighthawks. Well, there's nothing for it except to get into this fight. Alright, the enemy was waiting for us again. But this time it looks like we get to go first. So James is going to run up and attack this one first. Owen is free, so that's good. Owen's going to go ahead and cast Skin of the Dragon on James. And Gorath can reach the same one as James, so that's good. We'll team up on the same guy. He's already fleeing. Since we have another moment, I'm going to go ahead and cast Skin of the Dragon again, but this time on myself. On Owen. Just to protect him. Excellent, that first one is down. James will continue his fight, and Owen's going to do a little bit of fighting on his own. Actually, let's rest and gain some stamina back for Owen. The second enemy is down. Good solid hit. And the third enemy is down. Quick battle. Our abilities continue to increase. Let's take a look at these bodies. Mainly I'm hoping for money and things like keys. Although there's another Armorer's Hammer, so that might be really useful. The Armorer's Hammer has 5 uses out of it. How many does the current one have? Only 3. Gorath took no damage. He doesn't need to use his Armorer's Hammer at all. James has 13 left on his. Alright, let's go ahead and drop off some armor here. Take Owen's and repair it. Okay, Owen took no damage that turn. Let's take this other armor just to repair. Oh, you know what? I should have taken that one with... That's right. This only has 2 uses left. We're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep using the one that only has a few uses left. We'll drop off this sword that we're not going to take with us. Take that armor. And does anybody have any room left? Or is there anything that we can drop off? Oh, another 25 torches. You know, we don't need 5 torches if we already have 25. So let's go ahead and take that extra Armorer's Hammer. There we go. As for the second body, that's, I believe there's 2 here. 20 gold, that's great. There are some poisoned arrows already in James's possession, so we'll add to those. We'll just take the sword and bad armor to fix, and then get rid of them. And another Dragonstone, which we don't need. And finally, let's see, there's another body we need to move so we can see it a little bit better. 44 gold, silver, another key. I don't believe we need any more crossbow bolts right now. 4 spoiled rations, we definitely don't want anything to do with that. Alright, I believe this is the last use of this Armorer's Hammer. Great. Drop that back off, take the good armor, and we will go ahead and just repair this sword and get rid of it. Yeah, Kingdom Swords, unfortunately, fetch such a low price, it's really not worth taking them. Some more lockpicks, though. We'll give those to James. He was able to take 1 more to stack with those. That's good. Okay. So we're in good shape now. Is there anything else we need to bring? I'm going to go ahead and give one of these Armorer's Hammers to Gorath. So now he has a new one. And in terms of our skills, looks like Gorath's weapons craft is all the way up to 82% now. His accuracy melee continues to improve, as well as his armor craft. Owen's defense is up. And wow, James's strength, his weapon craft, his accuracy melee, and his armor craft as well. Everybody's getting stronger. We're doing a good job here. All right, we're going to continue south and west. We do need to rest, though, to get people's hit points back. There we go. Yeah, it used to be that we could be very certain that the enemies would be waiting on the road, but we need to keep looking in all the directions now. It really seems like these enemies are, you know, really getting smarter. Food and lodging, I don't think so. I remember that being extremely overpriced. I don't believe there was anything in this hole except for a spoiled ration now. So now that we now that we recruited Arlie Steelsoul, we went ahead and got him as we were asked to do. I can reveal to you that one of the other ways to get him is to give him spoiled or poisoned food. If you drop off those rations, he basically gets ill. He gets stomach upset, and then you can go back the next day, go to his house, and it's the same sort of thing. He respects you for having done something so audacious to get his attention. So if you didn't want to do the trap, you can basically poison the guy. That's another option. Okay, we're almost to the town, but we should be careful because here at this last stretch is a perfect place for an ambush, I believe. Remember the last time we were over here, we got poisoned. Did I just see enemies over there? I don't know. I don't think so. Sometimes the way these graphics are, it's hard to tell until you're right up on top of them. That's a scarecrow. Looks like we made it. Alright, welcome back to Sildon. If you remember, we can go to the temple over here. There's a shop. Let's look at the shop really quickly. It's a magic shop. Are there any spells worth learning right now? Dragon's Breath. Flame Cast. That's a good offensive spell. Skyfire. Hocho's Haven we already have. Eyes of Ishap. Night Fingers. Stardusk. I'm not certain what all of these do, but we'll look into that. Skin of the Dragon, which we love. Nacra Cicatrix. We'll have to look into what some of these spells are later and find out, which ones are worth getting. All right, so let's head back. Let's head to the tavern and see if anybody here knows anything. James paused. Though he had thought to get the man's attention, he decided he was far more interested in what the man was whispering to a mercenary who was seated nearby. Well, who has the crawler's key then? The man shrugged. Kivo dropped it in the scramble out the sewers. After they did in the Upright Man, none of us had the desire to stick about any longer. Mockers were right mad. So it's still in the sewers, is it? Unless one of the Mockers boys picked it up. I'd say so, yes. Not like it matters what with the crawler crawled away to the Sunset Isles. Disturbed, James slipped away from the conversation. Though it was possible the men were bandying about things overheard from a rumor monger, the demise of the Upright Man in Krondor would have far-reaching implications both for the kingdom and for himself. Yeah, that would be really troubling if basically one of the most powerful, members of the underworld had been killed. That's a major upheaval. What about this guy? James motioned to the figure across the room. The man walked over to join them, and he stood before them, eyebrows arched inquisitively. As the keeper of a tavern, I imagine you get quite a bit of traffic through here. Lots of people wanting to buy or sell items that were, shall we say, indiscriminately acquired. Who would I speak to if my interest lay in that direction? Any that walks the streets. Sildon's not known for its reputable patronage, as you no doubt have seen. Why would this interest you? I need to find out about the possible purchase of two very special items that might have been picked up here in Sildon. I'm looking for whoever might have sold them. If an item's sold in Sildon, then I am the only man that you should speak to. Any other transactions are done the Sildon way. Very well, Joftaz. I need to find out what you know about either a brass spyglass or a silver spider. I'd be willing to pay in gold. You will pay most undoubtedly for that information, but I'm not interested in your kingdom coins. If it were gold, I could come up with the sum I want myself. No, what I require is the assistance of a thief. Why do you think I would be of any help? I live in a city of thieves. I've spent my life knowing how to sense them, and I know most assuredly that you have a thief's instincts. This is the bargain. I'll tell you about the silver spiders that I sell on occasion, and you'll find a bag of powder that was stolen by the crawler. It has most likely been taken to his house near here. The house is locked, and I suspect the pouch will be hidden away in a chest or cabinet or such. Any thief could do that for you. Why would we be especially qualified for this? Because all the thieves in this place, they're all the hands and eyes of the crawler. To be working for me, that would be the death for them. Why? What is it that's in this powder bag? I've made my offer. The information for the pouch. Do we have a deal? I think we have no choice, so let's accept his offer. My bump of trouble is telling me that I shouldn't be agreeing to this, but you have a deal, Joftaz. I'll get your pouch, a straight exchange, the information for the item. Consider it a deal then. I'll wait for you here in the anchorhead until you return with the item. We'll be back. Don't leave this place. Alright, well let's head outside. I'm assuming that this mystery, last time we came here and there was a locked door and we decided not to try to open it. Gorath watched the docks. Behind him, James stood with his ear pressed against the door of the house, listening for the stirring of the crawler or his men, but heard only the thumping of his own heart. The door was locked, and as he reached inside his pack to search for his keys and picklocks, he saw a very small, very straight crack in the trim beside the door. Smiling at the old mocker's trick, he pressed his thumb against the trim and pushed down. The wood slid away, revealing a small brass key. Removing it from its hiding place, he jammed it into the brass lock, whispering his thanks to the old mocker who'd first taught him the trick. Within, the house was dim, but not so dark that James couldn't navigate by instinct alone. Creeping, he investigated the whole of the three-room house, noting anything that looked out of the ordinary. Near the fireplace, he discovered something that appeared to be a chest, but dismissed it as suspect, its location tagging it as a trap for less clever thieves. In other words, something out in the open, like, hey, steal me. The real thieves would know better. On the far wall, he eyed a row of 5 colorfully lacquered pots, each spilling over with a tangle of violet-covered Tandelhorns. Many times in Krondor, he had heard the Princess Anita lamenting over the fact that the flowers were nearly impossible to grow in the salty soil of the coastal regions, and required nearly constant sunlight. Located as they were at the rear of the house, however, they would undoubtedly receive very little light at all. Smiling, he upturned each of the pots until at last he discovered the hidden powder bag and made a mental note to thank the princess for her relentless efforts to civilize him. Clutching his find triumphantly, he hurried outside to rejoin his very nervous-looking traveling companions. Jimmy the Hand was still alive and well. Alright, let's go drop off this powder to Joftaz. So, the Honorable Seigneur from Krondor returns. Have you brought along the pouch I asked you for? It seems that today Bannath has smiled on the both of us. I have what you want, and you apparently know what I need to know. The pouch in exchange for the story, that was the deal. I want to hear a story about a silver spider. Ha! Yes, Bannath has gifted you most certainly. I wouldn't have thought anyone wily enough to defeat the crawler, but if the happy prankster has given you the knack, then I'll happily help you as best as I can. Now, the silver spider's a rare item, so I remember when I get one, and I am most assuredly pleased when I can turn a profit from one. They are heartily sought here in the kingdom. It's been several months since last I sold one. Can you describe the last man who bought one? Oh aye, I can describe him. Stoop-backed, crass, hard-bartering fellow. He was wearing a black cloak and a bird. An eagle was blazed across his chest. You mean a hawk? A golden hawk? I've lived the greater part of my days here in Sildon. It might have been a hawk or it could have been a gull. All I know is that I lost a great deal that day between he and the trader named Abook, who brought some sailor's trinkets he appropriated from Prankstone. Aha! So Abook was the one who was selling these items. As for the man with the bird on his chest, the last I heard of him, he was asking to purchase a ticket on a ship called the Mocker's Folly bound for Krondor. A Nighthawk bound for Krondor? Where could I find the ship's captain? Krondor, I suspect, though I don't see why that would be important to you. I'll decide what's important or unimportant. Now, what about the brass spyglass? Would you know anything about that? As I told you before, sailors' trinkets are common here in Sildon. If it's a special glass you covet, I would urge you to seek out the trader, Abook. I could only hope to make 5, perhaps 10 gold sovereigns from such an item, so I decided they were not really worth my time bothering with them. You may find that bothering with silver spiders has cost you more than imagined, Joftaz. If I find that any of the prince's family have died of poisoning when I return there, you'll have a great deal more to worry about than turning a profit. Okay. I believe we have a path forward. He mentioned that the trader, Abook, possibly had... Let's go ahead and rest for the night. I'm sorry. He mentioned that the trader named Abook was the one who had the brass spyglass. The brass spyglass that ended up at the murder scene. Well, we met a book a couple episodes back along the road. I believe it was somewhere along the road along here, between Lytton and Silden. We should go there and try to see if we can find him really quickly. And also, of course, be careful. I'm certain we'll run into a fight along this road. Alright, we're coming up on some trees. I've noticed before that Nighthawks seem to live in those trees. They seem to hide out in trees a lot. They were not alone. Owen's pulse quickened as he saw the lone figure approach, but when it became apparent they were not being attacked, he relaxed a bit, squinted slightly in an attempt to see who was about to join them. And there's a book. A book, Master of Locks, at your service. How may I be of assistance? It appears that you're the master of more than locks. What do you know of the Prankstone north of Romney? A tongue wags loose in Silden. I see my enterprises may be silenced. I'm interested only in a brass spyglass that you sold at Joftaz in Silden. Tell me about it and I'll choose to forget about any other thefts you may have participated in. How did you come by it? A year and 20 ago I bought a box in Silden from a trader. He told me it would bring me great fortune, but I wished only for a strong chest to hold my things, and I told him that he would be a fool to sell such a box. We haggled, and at last I purchased it for 10 sovereigns, a price that the seller seemed positively glad to receive. I too was pleased with the exchange, but began to wonder at the nature of what I had just purchased. The chest was possessed of Kajunlo. Kajunlo? What does that mean? It was a box of trickery, of magic. Objects would appear in the box, things I had not placed there. Then one day I met a man from Romney, and he told me of the true nature of my chest. When things were lost in a certain place, they came to my box and we could sell those items. We decided, of course, that we would never tell each other more about ourselves, so our business would be safe should one of us fall into harm. And you two would split the profits of whatever appeared in the box. I take it that the brass spyglass was one of the items he arranged for you to find? It was one of many things. The day you got the spyglass, did anything else appear in your box? A few things. I keep the things whose value I do not know, so those items which arrived with the spyglass are still there as well. I believe there was a note whose contents I do not remember. Where was this box? Is it close by? It lies behind a mountain with 2 other boxes near Silden, and is locked with a special lock, so you will have to spell out Thorn so that it may be opened. If you do not understand of what I speak, you shall when you find the box. Okay, that's a Mordhell wordlock he's talking about, and it's near Silden, next to 2 other boxes with the word Thorn. Thorn, we'll remember your kindness. Thank you. Alright, let's look at our map once again. So if we remember, the town of Silden is right there. So near Silden, there's going to be a Mordhell lockbox next to 2 other boxes with the name Thorn in it. Let's quickly head back there. And I don't believe we're going to run into any enemies along the way because we've already been this way. We are, however, starting to run low on food. So we're going to have to find a place to buy more food soon. Alright, here's Silden coming up. There's where we fought those enemies. Let's go ahead and use our spyglass to see if there's any boxes nearby. Aha! Over there. Look at that. So if we leave the road and head west, there's the value of that spyglass. Let's follow along these mountains. Hopefully there's no enemies over here. And there are the boxes. There's 3 of them. Let's look at the first one. Today he is there to trip you up, and he will torture you tomorrow. Yet he is also there to ease the pain when you are lost in grief and sorrow. Well, that's a tough one with a lot of letters, in fact. Today, he is there to trip you up. He will torture you tomorrow. He's also there to ease the pain when you are lost in grief and sorrow. I'm wondering if it's something like... something alcoholic, like alcohol can trip you up and torture you tomorrow when you have a hangover. But it can also ease the pain. Well, not necessarily ease the pain, but some people... It's enough letters. Let's try alcohol. Oops, I spelled it wrong. Sorry. Yeah, looks like the letters are correct for alcohol. Alright, so what does this chest have in it? Not much. A dragonstone, which we don't really need, but a key. We'll take the key. Let's look at this second chest. Unfortunately, okay, because of the way that they're laid out, and we've seen this before with dead bodies, they're all going to be the one that's closest to me. So let's move so they're laying side by side, and I can actually get them. All right. Death to our enemies! No living adversary shall escape the new king of these isles. He will lead us to glory and provide new lands for our people. Well, that's not a riddle, that's just propaganda. They're probably talking about the Mora, the leader, Delicon. That one's not too hard. I know it ends with an N. Is it K-H-A-N? Or K-A-H-N? There we go. Quite a bit of gold. Look at this. Very good. And unfortunately, I'm pretty full up on lockpicks, so we're going to leave that be. And then as for the last box, we know the answer to this is thorn. He got it in the woods and brought it home in his hand because he couldn't find it. The more he looked for it, the more he felt it. When he finally found it, he threw it away. Yep, that describes a thorn quite well. Oops, sorry, let's not keep skipping the letter I'm trying to find here. Thorn. The chest thumped. Satisfied that the magical locks had released, James tipped open the large wooden lid. Alright, so what do we have here? A virtue key? That's good. A regular key. 45 more gold. And a note. Let's take that note and look at it. Given to Isunatis of Caval Keep, the quantity of 500 rubies and 200 golden sovereigns, totaling a value not in excess of 20,200 sovereigns. Caval Keep. Let's look at our map again. Romney's here, Prankstone, and then Caval Keep. It looks like there might be some connection between somebody at Caval Keep and this brass spyglass, which ended up, of course, at the murder scene. Perhaps the murderer has some connection to Caval Keep. That seems to be giving us a path forward. We definitely want to head up back to Romney to alert the Duke that we've solved his quest, and then we can continue on to Caval Keep in order to keep investigating further. We have a path forward. I'd also like to head down to Krondor, though, just to make sure everything's okay there, with those rumors of things happening in the sewers, perhaps an issue with the Upright Man, and also, whatever that Nighthawk was up to. So it looks like we have two directions to go. We're going to want to head to Krondor and also to Caval Keep. In our next episode, we're continuing our quest to solve the mystery of the spyglass and the spider. I'll see you then.